always stay, always just what makes my day. None is never, none's a boy. All is what I came here for.
Okay, we're live. Initially I was planning to make only one of these streams, but chat was so close to winning last time, I got a bit sad for you. So I'm gonna give you another stream to try again and see if you can clutch out the win this time. Like last time, I'll give my opinion on the fights, but beyond that I'll pick whatever you vote for. And we'll see how far you can get. Alright, I'll do one run myself to kill some time until we have enough gamblers ready, and then we'll start properly. The camera. You're gonna need to explain that one to me. I know I always say don't explain the joke, but this is an exception to the rule. I don't get what you're going for there at all. Please help me. So crabs win because archers do literally 0 damage. So the shields don't matter. Even after the shields on the crabs wear off, the archers still have shit damage. And the crabs have slightly less shit damage. Oh, you're just smashing the two names together. Yeah, that's some kind of alien logic that only makes sense to the chosen few. The numbers are too imbalanced. If you watch Giant Grand Games, he did this quiz where you just had to smash StarCraft names together, and it made literally 0 sense to any normal human. You need to be special to get the logic of smashing names together. It's beyond my mental capacity. Well, Jesse killed the best run chat had. Easy win for Pompey's. Because Pompey attacks really slow, so it barely gets damage from the reflect. And then it has rest to protect it from the direct attacks from these guys. Seven more fights, and then it's your turn. You think you'll be able to win today? Yeah, I tried to help Super's chat and see if they can win instead. They did not do well. Contrail is awesome. I just haven't had a reason to use her much. Oh wait, this one... Well, never mind Contrail. This one's kind of interesting. So, both the defenders and the axe guys have reasonably high defense, but the axes have much higher attack. The question here is whether the axes can hit past the shield's defense. If they can, they should win easily. If they can't, they will fail to do any meaningful damage, and it just comes down to scratch damage and then the axes will die, because of the higher stat line here. I'm pretty sure the axes attack is high enough to punch through their defense. It's probably like 600 versus 1000 or something. Anyhow, back to Contrail. Yeah, Contrail's really strong. I haven't had a reason to use her much myself, but that's only because I play on EN. And she's not on EN yet. But I've used her a few times on CN, and I've seen other players use her. She's really strong. It's an insanely strong archetype that shouldn't be underestimated. Every axe that goes down makes the axes punch faster. A really slow fight like this really benefits the axes. Contrail does really high damage, for like higher than you'd expect. She does the same damage as Lord Guard would basically. Oh, maybe the axes will lose. Yeah, they just barely lost. Contrail isn't niche at all. You have no idea what you're talking about. She's just a better Lord Guard. The only reason you're calling her niche is because she's a 4-star. If she was a 6-star, you'd say how OP she is. Like, relative to other 4-star lords, she's just better than them. And that's all there is to it. Golems should lose this. No, fuck, I was wrong. The Golems are gonna win. This isn't enough swordsmen. I thought it was one Golem for some reason. It's two Golems and they're gonna win. The Golems will get through the sarcasm really quickly. I'm stupid. Other one was definitely correct. Do you think saving the E2 4-star ticket for Contrail is worth it? It's an E2 4-star ticket. I can't say I care. I have two of them and nothing to use them on. Like, 4 stars aren't that expensive, but what else are you gonna use it on? Hi, Maya. No, I keep telling people this. Contrail's real power is that she's a Lord Guard that has a 15 SP skill with a 30-second duration that turns her invisible. Walking drones is the niche part, but she doesn't need to walk a drone to be useful, she just has decently high damage. Yeah, the golems were super obviously gonna win, I was hard trolling with this one. For some reason I thought it was one golem. I'm mostly talking to you and just waiting until a group builds up. Dogs against reflectors. I remember reflectors sucking gas against dogs. And dogs will only take damage if they actually hit the reflector, so the archer shouldn't be able to help. I think it's the dogs. I don't see the archers killing a meaningful number of them. And then everything should go down. Let's see. Shields are gonna pop in a few seconds. Maybe I was wrong. Oh, this is gonna be kind of close. I think the reflectors win this. Yeah, there's not enough HP. It was just enough archers to hold the front line. Good job, archers. What's my opinion on Monster? It's not a 4-star. Okay, your turn to gamble now. We have boxers against reflectors. 4 reflectors for 8 boxers? What the fuck? Game, what the fuck? Okay, so these guys start with relatively low damage, then they have more damage and then they die. All of these do arts damage, these guys have no good defense to that. I will of course let you pick. Show me what you've got today. Yeah, I'll make posts, of course. Most of you think the reflectors will steamroll them. That seems likely to me. Oh, or did that unique setup give them a chance? Nope, not at all. They did better than they would have, I think. Because those reflectors kind of were walking while these guys were activating. But it wasn't enough to make any difference. I'm not gonna say anything. This fight is too imbalanced. In this duel between crabs and slugs. Are crabs and slugs in the same family? Is anyone here who hasn't taken a biology class in the last 15 years know the answer to that? Or like are they different species? Not species, but are they part of the same family? I don't think crabs are slugs, but I haven't been in biology in forever, so I don't remember. Yes, but simping for the slug here is correct, because the slug has some amount of defense and the crabs have relatively low attack. Slugs are mollusks, okay. Okay, is Jesselton a fraud? This is what you want to ask yourself. So, obviously Jesselton is very tanky, and he cannot be one-shot by an elemental proc. But there is one Jesselton and 31 slugs. So the question you want to ask here is how long will it take for Jesselton to kill 31 slugs? And most of you seem to think that it will take entirely too long for Jesselton to kill 31 slugs. You are correct. Is the sky blue? Depends on where and when. Most of the time it's not, I think. When it's covered in clouds, when it's night, when it's evening. When it's early in the morning and it's kind of pink. You're the one that's going to get humiliated when Jesselton wins out of nowhere, hamster. Okay, this is an interesting one. Focus up. So, On the left we have Pompey, 2 Pompeys, and 8 Boxers. Now, the right side has really high DPS, but Pompey has a very long range, much like the artillery. The artillery will hit the Boxers a lot, and then the Boxers will frontline and help with the casters a bit. So the question you want to think about, because Pompey is extremely ineffective against the casters, they have res after all, and higher single target DPS than Pompey does. Will the Boxers do meaningful damage to the casters? That's what you want to think. If you think the Boxers will do a lot of damage to the casters, then you should bet on Pompey. If you think the casters will steamroll Pompey and the Boxers, then you should bet on the right side. Because the artillery will kill Pompey really fast, and these casters have high health. Okay, this is pretty close. I'll give you a few more seconds, in case you want to tilt it one way or the other. About half of you have voted though. So that's a statistically significant sample. And you're tilting more to the left. Okay, the majority is going with left. I actually disagree with you, and I think the right side might have the advantage. Because the Crocs will just evaporate completely once the caster starts firing. And then they'll have enough of a front line to murder all the Pompeys. That's my prediction. Because Pompeys will take forever to kill the casters, and they can't hit the artillery. This is getting pretty close though. Let's see if I'm wrong. If the front line melts, one Pompey will finish off the artillery in no time. Really close. Might go either way, we'll have to see. Nope, he's fucked. The artillery is way too tanky for him. Zero chance. I thought the artillery would die faster, holy shit. By the way, if the artillery were all together, Pompey would have won this fight, because he would have killed them in exactly the same time, as if they were spread out. The only reason the artillery won here is because one was at the bottom and didn't take the brunt of the damage. Really close fight. It's not that the artillery has rest necessarily, Pompey just does very little damage. Okay, so you have a squishy unit on the left that does 0 damage against a tanky unit on the right that does more than 0 damage. Place your bets. Yep, overwhelming advantage to the point we can just start the fight. The worst part for the archers is by the time one of them activates, that will just reduce their damage even more, because the Sarkas have more res than they have defense. Complete stomp. Okay, so we have 12 Coapsos, 35 Wolves, and 11 Boxers. So do you think the archers will tank for the Coapsos that are in front of them, who will then fail to kill the Boxers? Or do you think the Wolves will just kill everything and win really easily? This is a serious fight. I could wait for votes to come in, but we don't have all day. Okay, amazing, the Coapsos killed some amount of dogs. One small problem though, the archers now do 0 damage. What an unexpected outcome. Yeah, of course the archers won't tank Kratos. You should recalibrate the sarcasm detector there. Shintaro. Okay. Next fight. So, what you need to know for this fight is that everything on the left has pretty high res. You have the combination of bad archers with a very solid front line. The crabs are not effective against the Sarkas, and neither are these guys. So even though this is potentially the stronger units, everything here has decent stats to fight back. I don't think the crab will meaningfully help. Perhaps I'm wrong, but I think if the Sarkas cancel out the reflectors, then that should give the advantage to the left, because then you have enabled archers against crabs. No, crabs do physical. Have you not played IS-3? Okay, majority is voting for the left. They're doing decent damage to the Circus. Would that help? The Circus just need to kill the reflectors. As long as they do meaningful reflector damage, they'll eventually get through. And the reflectors are down. The archers will take over from here, but the crabs are also dead, so there's nothing for the archers to do. The Circus were just very tanky themselves. There was no effective damage on the right side. Okay, this is a fun one. Well, not really, but let's play it out. Okay, so we have 40 enemies on the left and 5 enemies on the right. Now it does say 5, but actually we have 8 enemies on the right, because 3 of the things there have second forms. Pompeii can hit 4 targets at once, meaning they will absolutely demolish slugs. So once the slug get eviscerated, can 13 archers beat 3 bosses and 2 random trash mobs that always die horribly? I don't know. I think most of you will agree that probably not. Yep, 90% lead on the right. I'll just start it. And we'll let the votes come in for a bit. This one seems rather one-sided, yeah? So the slugs just melt. Oh no, the front line is down. Well, they actually have a chance now, though. I don't really see it. Pompeiis are pretty tanky to res. So once they get to this point, they have no real advantage. And Jesselton will wipe a bunch of archers. For the record, the Pompeiis will win without Jesselton there, because the archers can damage them meaningfully. And several archers die at once. Once a bunch of archers die, that drastically lowers the DPS. While Pompeii's health lowering just gives Pompeii more DPS. Okay, Jesselton sucks, but he helped Pompeii not lose more health, so he reduced Pompeii's DPS. Really? I mean, really. You're not getting to vote on this one. Let's just go to the 10-5. I think we lost one fight early, right? Yeah, we lost one fight. The third or fourth one. Completely fair and balanced fight, as always. This is to get your hopes up before the final fight. Though you already lost one. So this is just practice now. The last archer died just as the fight was ending. It was perfection. Yeah, Golem shits on Jesselton in 1v1. Really easily too. Okay, so we have Collapsos that will rush forward and die. We then have archers that are tanky for a bit and then die. And then we have casters with low DPS but multi-target and freeze. Casters will eviscerate boxers, and the archers are reasonably effective against possessed. So once the front lines melt, do 11 casters beat 6 of the chain casters? That's the key question here. The front lines will mostly cancel out, I think, and there will be a leftover number of archers. After that, will those casters be enough to fight plurality of freeze casters? I believe not myself. You seem to think so though, for now. Many votes going towards the left. That's interesting to me. By the way, don't watch the Devil May Cry anime. A certain asshole made me watch 2 episodes of it and it was really, really bad. The new one, not the old one, to be clear. Okay, so chat is betting on the left side. Since it's the last round, and I want to have money, okay, so the front lines collapse, and now it's the caster duel. Will the freeze win or the attack speed? Guess it's a win for the left side, just barely. Yay for the boxers. You've already lost anyway. We're going for 999 here. So you wouldn't have won even if you won this one. So that was pretty interesting. What happened there was that the possessed got stuck behind the boxers. Otherwise the possessed would have rushed forward. If the possessed died early, then they wouldn't have the DPS to finish off. Pretty interesting fight. Okay, we have 9 shields against 3 Jedi. One of these units is straight up better than the others. So the real question is, how many Jedi does it take to kill 9 shields? 1 or 2? I feel like it's 2. How easy is it was for me to get 99? I did it on CN, so I don't really remember. If no Jedi dies, that means 2 would have won. Or rather, if they have more than 60% of their health left. Yeah, I guess 2 Jedi wouldn't have won this. You need the third one. Because if they had less DPS, they would clear up faster. Hmm. 4 artillery against things that dodge forever. This is a completely fair and balanced fight. I'm just making a poll to see how many people are gonna click on the right. I know the majority will be on the left, so let's get a move on. Oh no, the boxer are almost dead, never mind. What an unexpected outcome. Almost 8% of the people went on the right. The lizard brain is strong today, it seems. Nope, we're just here for 1 OP. Ah, okay. So what do you think happens here? How many hits do Jedis take to kill slugs? I believe they take 2 hits to kill the slugs. So they'll need a total of 56 hits, and they have to walk between every slug. On the other hand, you have 6 Jedi. 6! Yeah, Jedi don't exactly attack slow, but they walk slow. I think the Jedi have a decent shot because they have defense, and defense is an effective stat line against the slugs. I'm honestly not sure. 28 slugs isn't that much. We'll see. Maybe they win because of the extra stats. Problem is they don't do any damage at the start until the Jedi starts buffing, and they might lose a critical amount of their slug group before that. I think it's enough for the slugs. Because this one should start dying really fast while they walk down. Maybe not though. This one is still on high defense, I think. Yeah, too many slugs died. Oh, might get close. We only have 1 tanky Jedi left, but very few slugs. Okay, the slugs win. Just barely the slugs pull it out. Well balanced fight. It was really close. Infinity Dogs against... Oh, yeah, this is my favorite fight that we get. Chat got it wrong so many times. Let's see if you know what you've seen this before. So on the left side we have things with dodge. You have not seen this fight before. Chat is gonna lose. And you keep voting for dogs more. So the problem is that the boxers won't die, and the boxers have super high attack speed. So they will eat through the dogs really, really fast. Look at this shit go! Just look at what's gonna happen to the dogs. They're melting. They're melting, but the boxers don't die. 1 death on the left side. A single one died. I'll never get tired of scamming, chat. Sadly, the obvious option just wins here. So I can't bait you. Yeah, shockingly the Golems win, I know. I wanna try and make it sound close, but no, let's just not waste our time and go next. And Shaiwo Magic is admitting being the first victim of the lizard brain effect today. Yeah, I just clicked it. So you have something to do while the golems are beating the Junkmen to death. In the defense of the Junkmen voters, if a Junkman could heal enough to take a third hit, they would completely stomp golems. Because they would lose their DPS at a much slower rate. Like, the gap in power isn't that wide, as you can see. So 16% is not too unreasonable. Though that 60% haven't learned the power of the golem. What the fuck? Okay, so we have collapsos, which are fucking worthless here, against shields that will kill the boxers at first, but then die to the few that are left over. The hammers are very bad against both collapsos and boxers, but one stun from them will end the fight in a right victory. So the question is, do you think the boxer stun will... Sorry, do you think the boxer activation will coach them the win? Or do you think the hammer hit will kill too many? Boxers have good DPS but with a delay, and that delay lets the hammer activate too. I'll agree with chat here. I think this wave has an overwhelming advantage, because they can beat the shit out of many boxers to begin with. And the activation might buy just enough time for the hammer hits to land down. Boom! Now they're charging up hits, and there's nothing left to use it on. Yeah, the hammer squash it out. You also have to keep in mind that the shields can just kill a few boxers before they even activate. So yeah, the boxers activate, but they're almost dead at that point. Right, so do you think the slugs will do critical damage to the Avengers? Or do you think the Avengers with their caster support will help through? I could be wrong about this, but I think the Avengers and casters walk at a similar pace. So while the Avengers are tanking, by the time the Avengers get into slug range, the casters will already be shooting at them. Feels like an advantage right to me. If it's just down to archers against casters, the casters should lose, because the archers have more DPS and they also have res. But I think a few Avengers will survive and they'll sweep everything. Chat seems to favor the Avengers as well. Let's see if we're alright, if the majority is right here. Yeah, you can see how the Avengers aren't immediately at the front. So a lot of the slugs die before the Avengers get elemental. And then you have Avengers that are tanky against both archers with physical and darts. So the archers really struggle against them. Complete sweep. If the Avengers had faster movement speed, this fight might have gone to the left, because they would separate from the casters. 6 Jedi and 14 boxers. We have 9 archers, 7 crabs, and 10 other boxers. So the main thing you need to notice here, the boxers on the right, the 14, they have much faster movement speed than the Jedi, so they will enter the fight first, take a massive amount of damage, and only a few of them will be active. That will give the chance for the archers to activate as well, while the crocodile boxers will kill most of the right's front line. But then we have Jedis left over, and 6 Jedis is a lot. I think you'd be surprised by how close this will turn out. The left side seems shit, but the right side is overrated, I think. Guess this is reflected in the votes. We have about 43% of the votes on the left. Ultimately, most people are still going with the right. I think the Jedi will barely be able to quench it out after the boxers struggle to do enough damage. Because the crocodiles will just beat the shit out of them quite a bit. Hi, Em. Haven't seen you in a while. Nope, I was wrong. Crocodile boxers suck, and beyond that there was no damage on the left. The crocodile boxers didn't do enough, so the right had surviving boxers and sweeped. Lowering the defense from the crocodiles wasn't enough to help the low DPS units on the left, even with the 1.5 extra attack. So the boxers here are not at their best. The Avengers have some amount of defense to tank them, and then Pompeii delivers arts damage, so the dodge will be irrelevant. However, the boxers have rest, so they won't die that fast to Pompeii. Jesselton is basically immune to boxer damage, but the Axis will beat the shit out of him, and he can't get through the Axis effectively. Overwhelming votes for the left, Pompeii, Avengers. That makes sense voting wise. This just looks like the stronger side. Avengers, Pompeii, this guy. But I think the comp is ineffective, and the boxers will do more than you expect. My personal vote will go to the right. Let's find out what happens. I think the boxers will do more than you expect, and then the Axis will come through. Because Pompeii takes too long to clear the boxers, which lets them get rid of the Jedi, and then boxers can kill Pompeii just fine. So even though there was a way to bypass the dodge, it just wasn't enough in the end. Or maybe I'm wrong, and Jesselton will... Nope, nope. Death by 1,000 axes. Or 4 axes judiciously applied over and over. Boxers are one of the strongest units in this mode, I think. If there is no effective counter to the boxers, like high defense or high arts, they will shit on everything. Pompeii isn't enough to hold them back. I've seen this before, so I already know the outcome. So, Avengers do slightly more damage after they go below half health. Possessed attack super fast. How many hits do you think an Avenger will get with their bonus damage before dying? Most of you seem to think the Avengers will get very few hits. That is correct. But still, the possessed bled out faster than expected. W for the Avengers. Okay, round 2. Boxers against shields. So, boxers become invincible, but shields have defense. I'm sure this is a very difficult fight to predict, but I believe in you. I know I said boxers are broken when there's no counter to them, but this is a counter to them. What the hell, 34% of shot? What were you thinking? Go, windmills, go! I believe in you! Yes, you will do some damage to the Colossus, presumably at some point. Would A15 Collapsos? Yes, 17 A15 Collapsos will absolutely shit on unbuffed Colossus. It's not even going to be close, they'll kill them in 5 seconds. Like, A15 Collapsos, well, depends on which floor, obviously. But there's if it's like on floor 6, they will probably, like 5 of them will probably win against 2 Colossus. Okay, so 2 Possessed and 3 Axes. Biggest issue the right side has is that they have 0 answer to the Axes. They have no meaningful way to damage the Axes quickly. The Axes won't be very buffed, but they will take forever to die. And also the Possessed will kill almost everything themselves. Yeah, this isn't a very balanced fight. This side is lacking in both effective defense and damage. So they will melt pretty quickly. And you can see what I mean about the axes. Like how the enemies are focusing on one axe and it's barely taking damage. Once they start dying, axes start chewing through the health faster. So there is no chance of these guys just not healing forever or anything like that. Looks close. Well, it's like 30% of this side's health left, so it's not even close. That's interesting. How do you think Jedis fare against slugs? The crabs can fight roughly double of their numbers in slugs. So the crabs will kill more than you expect. The only question here is whether the Jedi will frontline for enough. If the Jedis take 2 elemental procs to die, then the crabs are 100% fucked. But the Jedis do not take 2 elemental procs to die, because these things do hard damage. I think 37 is too many, and I'll have to agree with chat here. Even though the crabs are really effective against these slugs, the number is to disadvantages, I think. And once the Jedi evaporate, there's nothing left to tank for the crabs. You think they coach it out anyway? They might. Yep, they did. Crabs are really effective against slugs. It's because of the range and the fast attack speed. Wait, shit, it's gonna happen. I can't believe it, it's gonna happen. This happens so rarely, chat. You're going to see a chance to see a fight in which the golem can actually lose. Yeah, 4 artillery looks great and all, but they're gonna die in 2 seconds. What do they have after they've died, exactly? Once the artillery goes down, you have one golem against probably 40 enemies, and the boxers melt the golem. Are you sure that the left side will win? Well, I'm not. Let's see all of the fights at least. I don't think the pre-fire will do anything. You just need a small amount of surviving dogs. Because now the boxers are safe, and the boxers eat the golem, see? The backline boxers were the deciding factor, because they provided the dogs with a solution to the golem. Because the golem walks so slow, and the artillery spawns first, obviously the dogs go to the artillery first, because it's closer to them. Is the game serious right now? So the left has range, and they have a more than a 4-to-1 disadvantage. So every unit on the left has to kill more than 4 enemies in order to win this fight. If you're asking why more than 4, it's because the artillery isn't gonna kill useful enemies. So the casters are gonna have to carry everything. Now the crocodiles are really vulnerable, but they'll still get to the casters and do some damage. Absorb the charge attack, and then the shields will clean up. That's my prediction. I don't think the mortars do enough. They're just not effective against the shields at all. So you see now, the shields start melting everything. Oh, they do so much damage, but melee range, GG. Pretty unfair fight. I'll grant you that these ones have been kind of hard today. Alright, this one's kind of interesting. It's the time for the everybody's favorite question. Are 42 dogs too many? Actually, I'll close the poll for a bit. I'll close this poll so I can give you some more information. Okay, so you have 42 dogs. They kill boxers reasonably quickly, but they will all cluster up in the center. And because the hammers have a bit of a front line, they will be able to charge up. If the hammers can hit the big hit, they will kill a ton of dogs. But the hammers will die super fast to dogs. And the boxers and the dogs both have high movement speed. So you're gonna get a gap here, where most of the boxers take heavy damage before the hammers get even a single hit off. However, there's more boxers coming from the back. It's not just these 7. There's 5 more coming in as reinforcements. And Jedi. That's a lot of dogs, yes. Jesselton is irrelevant. He's fucking awful against what's gonna be left from the left side. So the question is, do you think the dogs will die to the hammers? If the hammers don't kill the dogs will just kill everything. Alright, it's a close vote. About half of you think the hammers will kill the dogs. About half of you think the dogs will chew through the brawlers and get on the top of the hammers first. It's a close fight. I'm not too sure myself. I think I would bet on the brawlers because... No, maybe not. Because the final one of these hammers is too far away. And these ones won't kill a meaningful amount of dogs. Yeah, I'm gonna bet on the right. Because a bunch of dogs are gonna separate and fight in the bottom. Most of you are going with the left, but it's a really close fight, so I'm not sure. Let's find out what happens. Okay, so the lines collapse, hammers start melting, but a lot of dogs go down for it. A bunch of dogs are left off, and next hit is the big one. Will they kill a bunch of dogs? Yes! Most of the dogs are down, with an overwhelming advantage to Avengers and hammers. Yeah, Jesselton wasn't a relevant part of this fight. It was just about how the dogs fight against this. They couldn't kill enough hammers on time, there were not enough dogs to left over after the boxers. So every boxer killed about 2 dogs, and that was just too many. Huh. Okay, this is super interesting. No, it's not. Never mind. Why the fuck does the dogs have boxers after them? This would have been interesting without the boxers. So the dogs will take a while to chew through the crabs, which gives the artillery a damage window to kill a bunch of dogs. However, there is 13 boxers. The crabs will have no shield, and nothing on the right can kill the boxers afterwards. Yeah, the front line is amazing. Good for you. Will that be enough? Oh, is the shield gonna last long enough? The shields lasted almost long enough. If the boxers spread out, they have a shot? Nope. GG crabs, they pulled it out. Fuck the mortar, that was the crabs. The crabs clutched that fight. The crabs held against both the dogs and the boxers. Okay, how much do you hate Jesselton, chat? Tell me how much you hate Jesselton. If it's not clear, hating Jesselton is a vote for the right, and not hating him enough is a vote for the left. You really seem to hate Jesselton, but a few of you don't hate him quite enough to lose on purpose. The Jesselton hate just wasn't enough to win this fight for the Collapsos. And by win this fight I mean steal your money. Yes, that's why the option is not enough. I know you all hate Jesselton, you don't have to specify. Those were your options. Do you hate Jesselton enough to vote against him, even knowing he would win? And Consumer, your hate just wasn't strong enough. One win for chat, 9 more to go. We have Coapsos yet again against things that are not Coapsos. So what do you think will... What do you think will win? Is it the thing that isn't a Coapso or the Coapso? I'm sure this will be a close fight, as you can imagine. Despite the right side being zombies and therefore immune to pain, for some reason the people were favoring the units that actually have stats and do damage. A very unexpected turnaround. Will the units that are actually outright better be able to win this fight? Yes, this was a complete massacre by the units that are actually worth something. How surprising. Nobody could have predicted this. Except 95% of the chat. And the other 5% but they lizard-brained. Wait, shit, this is kind of interesting. The axes are not gonna have a damage buff at the start. That's what you need to consider. So before one axe goes down, the right is gonna kill Junkmen insanely slowly. Insanely slowly. Yeah, the Junkmen are slow, but by the time the axes start getting their buffs, most of the Junkmen will be dead. There is, however, an exception. If the axes all focus their damage on a single Junkman, they will get through them pretty quickly. So the axes need focus fire here. If their damage gets spread out, they lose. If they focus on one, they will win. Or, you know, these two focus on one, these three focus on another. So do you think you will see focus fire from the axes or not? Most of you are betting on focus fire. That makes sense to me, but after the first one dies, what happens then? That's the deciding moment. Do they spread out or do they attack the same target? Let's find out. A critical moment is the final axe left will probably get through them pretty quickly. Okay, so the first one dies to focus fire, and then do they spread out? Two different targets, massive slowdown in damage. Pretty big advantage, two of the axes are not getting hit at all. So you have two axes with the buff who are not touched. Yeah, this should be a clear win from the axes from here. Because as they lose numbers, they don't actually lose DPS. If the damage was more effectively spread out between them, they might have had a shot. But with every axe that dies, they kill Junkman faster and faster. And Junkman DPS goes lower and lower. Somebody thought that not even a single axe will die. You're underestimating the Junkman's attack, I think. They attack slow, so their DPS is shit, but their damage is fairly high. We're doing it again. How much do you hate Jesselton? Show me how much you hate Jesselton, everyone. Wait, what the fuck? Why is half of chat discussing whether Jesselton will win? You think Jesselton can't kill shield guards in his second phase? And that he won't kill half of them in his first phase? You're all crazy, holy shit. I can't believe people think Jesselton will actually lose this. Okay, it seems despite the obvious win coming for Jesselton, most people have elected to vote against Jesselton. Another easy win for the house. Like, how are they gonna kill his second phase, dudes? What happens once he phase 2s? They do absolutely nothing in his phase 2, that's what happens. Yep, he did a bunch of damage. And Jesselton just chops them up reasonably quickly, while they can't return the damage. Astounding! Jesselton managed to steal everyone's money once again with his unlikable face. I respect all of you for showing your hate for Jesselton. And now you can show your hate for Jesselton once again. Huh. Wait, this one's kind of interesting. Will the casters die? If the casters die, Jesselton will lose this. If they live, he 100% wins. This fight is actually close, so I'm gonna ask normally. So, it's only thing that matters here is whether the casters die, I think. If a few casters survive the initial volley, all of the left side will melt. I respect your desire to vote against Jesselton no matter what. But I think Jesselton has slightly shorter range than the casters. No, it's about the same range. Yeah, right side wins really easily. One caster will live on the top, that's all they need, because Jesselton takes too long to die. The occasional hit from that one caster there will clear it, will finish off everything. Your hate for Jesselton is strong. I will remember this. I can't be bothered. Let's go to the next fight. Like, what is this fight, man? The shield guards will win on their own. Why are the casters there? Do you think the casters would lose if it was just casters? Probably, but... What was this fight? 5 possessed and 48 dogs. Against melee enemies that don't have their DPS right away. Okay, so from previous checks we know that 5 possessed will barely win against 8 Avengers. But I don't think 14 boxers will kill 48 dogs. Maybe we're wrong, but let's see. The possessed aren't far behind the dogs anyway. To me, they seems like they're getting eaten alive. And the possessed have tanks, so they live longer and do more DPS. Insanely one-sided fight. What a surprise. Are we at 2 losses or 3 losses this round, chat? I forgot to count. We'll see it at the end anyway. Okay, okay. Let's focus back here. So... This is just a win for the right, no? Like, the reflectors haven't spawned in, so the possessed will be wasted on the less important ones. And then the slugs will all kill themselves in the reflectors, leaving the archers and the casters to duke it out, but the archers beat the casters. Am I wrong here? We have 3 possessed. 3 possessed will manage to kill all of the crocodiles and touch the casters. So you're gonna lose some casters early on. And then you have the slugs against the reflectors, which goes in the reflectors' favor, but the reflectors will be super damaged. And the archers will still have not activated. Yeah, maybe they're right. I think this fight is closer than it looks, but I think the right wins it. Let's see if we're correct. So these guys rush forward, absolutely eviscerate the crocodiles. Do critical damage to the reflectors. Is it enough? The slugs get melted, and that's it. Oh, maybe not. Maybe the archers will clutch it out. Nope, their health was 2 damage from the reflect damage. Yeah, it was closer than you think. If the archers had a bit more health left over, they would have won this. Because archers have much higher DPS than the frostcasters. Much closer than it looked. Okay, 3 Pompeii against stuff that can... Okay, so can these guys beat 17 shields? No, seriously. Never mind the 3 Pompeii, fuck the slugs. Can 12 boxers and a bunch of enemies that won't do damage right away beat 17 shields? Like, most of the boxers are just gonna rush forward with faster movement speed and then fucking die, right? What the fuck is the left supposed to do here? Like, yeah, the boxers rush forward and then they start dying. Not a single hit from the hammer yet, and all of the boxers are dead. The hammers get their stun off, but defenders are reasonably effective against them. There just wasn't any advantage for the left. If you replace this line with casters, then it becomes a close and interesting fight. But without some arts to supplement the front line, they just didn't have anything. I think the Pompeii wasn't completely irrelevant, because the shield guards might have taken critical damage and killed the boxers slower, and then the hammers have an advantage. But yeah, I think the shields might have won anyway. Extremely heavy front line is what the left has. You have both shields and archers, so the casters will be perfectly safe, meaning the dogs will get destroyed. Once the dogs get wiped, you have artillery, which will help against the shields, and reflectors, which does kill the shields really fast, but it will also die pretty fast itself. Closer than it looks. Probably left side, I'd say for me. I think there's too many shields relative to the reflectors. If the number of shields and reflectors were more balanced, I would give it to the right side instead. But I think the shield advantage will push it through for the left. Let's see if that's correct. So you have a front line forming, which means the casters are relatively safe from the explosions. The dogs all disappear, they all have most of their health, and the reflectors don't do enough to the shields. Oh, maybe they do. Is the shield line gonna collapse first? No, the shields just barely pull through. Yeah, if it was a more balanced shield count, the right would have won. Because the moment the shield line collapses, the artillery kills everything. So this fight was super close.
Mission accomplished.
The right side did have arts there, crippling depth. That's why you're in depth from gambling. The reflectors have arts. You did pretty well, but we'll get there one day. So the left have really shit damage, and the right have decent health. But it's gonna take forever before the right starts doing any damage. Not sure myself. I would assume the left wins anyway, but I wouldn't be too surprised if the archers won. Because these archers do 0 damage, and by the time the right gets their DPS, the shield pops. If the archers on the right win, I won't be surprised. We'll know it in the first few hits. I think they'll take too much damage. Yep, they'll take too much damage. They won't be able to recover from this in time. "13 boxers against 8 junkmen." Question: does a junkman beat a boxer 1v1? Honestly, not sure. I definitely think the 5 additional boxers will tilt the fight really hard in the favor of the boxers. But I'm not sure if a junkman can win in a 1v1 anyway, which is why this fight kind of weirds me out. Let's see if we can find a 1v1 happening somewhere, so we can tell how it would go. Basically, how quickly do they bleed? Okay, I think the Junkman can win a 1v1. Without the extra DPS, I think the Junkmans win this. The Boxer was really slow at killing it when it was just one. So I think if we have an even number of Junkmen and Boxers, I would bet on the Junkman. But the moment one Junkman dies, when there's already a number advantage for Boxers, every consecutive Junkman takes more and more DPS, because there's more boxers focused on that one Junkman. Anyhow, double win for chat. I would let you vote, but I have to move my mouse all the way to the bottom of the screen. It's annoying. Whoa! A Circus died! One Circus died! A shocking turnabout. Nobody expected this from the archers. That's kind of interesting. The only problem is that the possessed might take a while to chew through everything, but 6 is way too many. I don't think the possessed have a lose condition here. They'll just queue too fast. Possessed are bleeding, so the more of them you have, the more total health pool they're losing per second. So if you have 1, they're bleeding like 1000 health per second. If you have 6, they're bleeding 6000 health per second. So in a sense, larger fights don't favor possessed as much, because they're losing a higher amount of health and they're taking more damage from the other larger squad. Yeah, I think the right side has a shot because the possessed are bleeding so fast. And everything here has decent DPS, but I think the possessed win, because they'll just chew through way too quickly. The Jedi don't do anything. Yep. The fight just won't last long enough for the possessed to have a chance to lose. I don't think compositionally this is an unreasonable thing to fight possessed with, but the units themselves made no sense. Why are there less crabs? What the fuck? Does the game think the crabs do arts damage? I know chat thinks the crabs do arts damage, but they don't. Why does the game think that too? Four times those crabs will not do anything. This was a fundamentally unfair matchup on every level. Numbers, defense, attack. No part of it made sense. Okay, so what do you think will happen between the Jedi and the slugs? I think the slugs will barely win that, because they can all focus fire normally, but they also have casters helping them, which gives even more DPS. Archers are technically effective against slugs, but they need a second to activate. I think the outcome here will be this. The front line on the left collapses, and you have a surplus of slugs for the caster versus archer fight. But if archers enter the fight against casters at an evenish count and are activated, they should have an advantage. So what determines this fight is how many slugs are left over when the Jedis die. My bet would be on a lot of them, and seems that's what most people here think too. Let's see what actually happens though. Jedis are holding strong, which gives the archers a window to DPS. A bunch of the casters are engaging with the archers directly, which delays the killing of the Jedi. And the Jedi lasted long enough. Right, so I think the key factor here is that the Jedi have a reasonably high defense. They're not a 0 defense unit, so the slugs take a fair bit to get through them. That's what I forgot to account for in my calculation. Also, the Jedi were far back, so they hit together with the archers. Okay, what do you think? Will the pre-fire matter, or is this just too many dogs? I mean, even if it kills half the dogs, it would still take multiple hits to kill the rest, and it just takes one dog reaching the artillery to end it. A lot of you have faith in the pre-fire, I see, but most are going for the dogs. I'd agree with that, because not all of them will get artillery at once. They can't really clump up properly here. Pretty easy sweep. Oh, we have a classic. Proud boxers against the King of Frauds himself. But the King of Frauds is a chat. One small problem. Jesselton's first phase does very low DPS. It will die relatively quickly, but it will last long enough for the boxers to activate their phase 2, and boxer phase 2 ignores defense. So the Jesselton phase 2 will die really fast. Do you think he'll be able to kill a meaningful amount of boxers before phase 2? It would seem not. You are indeed correct. Now look, the boxers don't do anything, but all of a sudden, his health disappears, with 0 boxers dead. Still 0 boxers dead, 1 boxer dead, 2 boxers dead, and the fight is over. Way two advantages. The boxers are just suited for countering Jesselton. Can't be bothered. Why? I assume the way the fights are made is that you have the individual fights aren't made, you just have different fights in tiers. Like 3 Pompeii are this tier and you can match them against these enemies. Otherwise it wouldn't make much sense to pair them with golems, right? Do Mudrock Colossus lose any matchup? Yeah, super early. I think we had 1 golem loss today so far. It almost never happens when there's multiple Mudrock Colossi there, though. Okay. So, the Junkmen are reasonably effective against the Jedi. A bit slowly, but they will get through them. However, there's a golem behind them. And while 12 Junkmen can put up a fight against the golem has allies, turning it into an utterly unfair fight. You might be surprised, but 12 Junkmen and against the golem would be pretty close. Unfortunately, the golem just isn't alone, which will turn the tide. It's now against 11 Junkmen, and not all of them are hitting because they need to walk all the way from the bottom. Now they look like they're doing good damage, and they are. The problem is that the Junkmen are bleeding out DPS with everyone that dies, so they'll start damaging them slower and slower. Will they pull it out despite that though? The golem is under 50% health. The Junkmen have lost about 33% of their DPS. Seems to be going to the Junkman. Yeah, it will be enough. The major factor here was how late the golem was. Because the golem walks really slowly, by the time it reached the fight, the Jedi were almost dead. Interesting fight. And the Jedi themselves are extremely ineffective against the Junkman. On the left we have casters with low DPS. On the right we have melee units that are extremely tanky against casters. No. Funny name, the Regen really mattered against the Jedi. Without the Regen, Golems would have killed most of the Junkmen in one hit, because they would have been damaged from the Jedi. The Regen absolutely clutched that fight by helping against the Jedi. Yep, this one is a one-sided stomp. I was just busy talking about the last fight still. Because the caster simply can't do meaningful damage. Yeah, they'll freeze some of them, but they won't freeze all of them, and that's the end of it. I think I saw exactly 1 Sarkaz die. Might be wrong on that. Pretty interesting one. Right, so the archers won't die early on, and they will protect Pompeii at the start. So Pompeii and the archers will have a window to get rid of the hammers. If the hammers survive past the archers and have reflectors tanking for them, the left side should be completely fucked. Pompey is not tanky here. Pompey will die really fast to both the reflectors and the hammers. Pompey is hard countered here, but everything on the right has very low physical defense. However, I don't think the archers are enough to quench it. You're tied at 50-50 right now. I'll wait for a few more votes to come in. Yeah, it's just a matter of how long the archers live. If they live long enough, that's fine. If they don't... Like, Pompey cannot kill this at all on their own. So it's all about the archers here. I think Pompey can kill reflectors, right? Yeah, Pompey kills reflectors. Because they do arts as well. But the hammers are the big threat. But the hammers are on the front as well. If all the hammers die, you have the slugs left. And the slugs will do a fair bit of damage to Pompey. Not sure. This is really close. I think if one of these hammers survives, the fight is over for the left. Let's find out. So the hammers start taking the damage. But they're taking damage from archers who have really shit damage. And the DPS will be interrupted. I predict that the left will lose from here. The hammers aren't dying. Yep, and now Pompey can't do anything to the hammers and dies really fast to them. It's GG. The reflector taunt is a good point. Though I think even without it, the right would have had a reasonable advantage. You only needed one hammer to end the fight. Because it's not like a hammer disappears when it dies. You get the slug thing, which is an effective unit in and of itself. Especially against Pompey. What the fuck is this? Was anybody planning to bet on the crabs out of curiosity? I'm glad that you got the Arknights beat on the Arknights video. I'm sure it will convince you to get Arknights, the game you've never heard of, and... Are you serious? I'll make a poll when we have a real fight. While we're waiting for this fight to end, what did you think of the Devil May Cry anime they made? Oh, it's not exactly an anime, but you know. I kind of didn't like it. The dialogue is really, really bad, like holy shit. I've read fantasy books with less exposition than this anime. The fight scenes were really good though, so if you don't wanna listen to anything and just watch it, visually it's fine, but the writing is dog shit. Okay, oh for the love of God, give me a real fight. Now why am I even polling you on this? Fuck off. These have res, these do arts, GG. You can see they're really good arts units by the fact that they actually killed some of them. Was it the same guy who did the first Castlevania or the second one? I think it was the first one. Okay. Fuck that. Fuck the Devil May Cry anime. More importantly, we have a good fight here. So, we have 23 dogs against 6 Avengers and 4 Jedi. I think the key problem here is that the Jedi actually have defense, so the dogs aren't effective against them. And then you look at the fight and it's basically 10 versus 3. Do you think 2 dogs and a boxer can kill an Avenger? Apparently you do. You do not want to win, I guess. Okay, so we seem to have a high amount of votes coming in for the dogs. I'm not sure the dogs can quench this out though. Like, they rush ahead in front of the boxers. They kind of get bodied, and then you have Jedi that eviscerate boxers. And I don't think any of the Jedi will die during the dog wave. I'll give you a few more seconds. See if you can flip the vote to the obviously winning side. Anybody who's watching on a second monitor wanna help chat survive this? Go, I believe in you. Okay, 50-50, go. Yes, this is not rigged at all. Congratulations, you picked the right option. You can see the Jedi just don't die to dogs, which is the problem here. But will the boxers squash it out? Did I lie to you? Will the boxers be enough? Not sure. This is actually close. Oh, it's gonna be so close. And no, the Avengers won. Okay, we can say that isn't cheating because the fight was kind of close. So the 50-50 vote is reasonable. Yeah, it's a bit closer than expected. I'll admit that much. Okay, we have another interesting one. So, on paper the Avengers are really strong here, but they will take a moment to activate, which gives the boxers a chance to fight back. The weakness from the left cast is that Sarkaz will be separated from boxers, so they'll hit in 2 waves. Do you think the Avengers will win? 12 Avengers is a metric fuckton, so I see your point. The only advantage the left side is that the boxers will activate, and a boxers is about even in DPS to a Jedi. Sorry, even in DPS to an Avenger. But the Avenger has more health. So I'm not sure if the boxers... It comes down to how many boxers die. If the boxers were all activated at the start, they would win really easily. But I don't think that's what's happening. I think boxers will take too much damage, and then just collapse the moment Avenger health goes below 50%. Something really bad for the left side is the damage is spread out between all of the Avengers. So you will have multiple Avengers reaching 50%, then activating their form, possibly killing the only boxer that was hitting them, and then turning the fight around. This is not the rigged run at all. That's also possible, yes. If a bunch of boxers focus on one Avenger, and they can kill them really quickly without taking much damage from them. So this fight will also be really close. I'm honestly not sure which way it will go. May have sounded like I was glazing the fight on the right, but I was just trying to imagine what will happen. Well, we got the majority of the chat on the right. Honestly not sure if the Avengers will win this one. First ones were easy, but this one's fucking hard. Let's see what we get. Okay, so this Avenger is screwed. These ones here are tanking just fine. We still have some boxers that are all powered up, and there's one Avenger that's full power there. Barely any boxers left, and after that the Sarkaz get kind of screwed. So close. I think the Avengers are losing. Yeah, the Avengers lost to the Sarkaz, because the Sarkaz took too many hits to go down. Sarkaz have low defense, but they have relatively high health. The coaching factor there was how Sarkaz lived with a sliver of health. If they died one hit earlier, they would have lost. So you need to remember that Sarkaz take more, one extra hit from an Avenger, because they're left with a little bit of health. Ooh, this is kind of interesting. Sadly, there are 2 golems. With 1 golem, this would have been interesting. 2 golems is too many. No, never mind, I'm lying. Totally lying. One golem can one-shot the boxer, so it won't matter. So crocodiles die, they don't matter, but then the golems one-shot everything. Only the Sarkaz swordsmen do damage, and the boxers can tank for them. So too much DPS will be lost too quickly. Some of the boxers could tank for a second because the boxers proc them, but it wasn't enough. And now the DPS is falling down. If it was one golem, the right side would have definitely won this. Because the Sarkaz swordsmen are effective against golems. Without the boxers on the left, it would have made zero difference and the golems would have still won. They were not relevant. Okay, 2 Pompeii with an effective front line. Yeah, these things will die to the artillery. But then they just spawn another frontline unit. And both of their forms are tanky against casters and kill casters fast. My guess would probably be the left side. Because the right side has no frontline and they will not get through the left frontline fast enough. Maybe we're dead wrong though, and the freeze will play a big difference. Like these things will get freezed and then shot to death without killing a meaningful number of casters. But Pompeii beats casters anyway, so I don't really see an advantage for the right. I agree on the Code Caster being a fodder unit, for sure. You can see Pompeii being really helpful here, because it reduces the number of hits the hammers take to clear everything, which speeds up the collapse of the right's front line massively. And that's GG. Yeah, it's really important to consider the hammer's second form, because that's part of the true value of the unit. Okay, everyone's favorite units. This is the wrong poll. Let's close it for a bit. So, on the right we have the team favorites. You know, golems, dogs, and possessed. The stuff you vote for every time. On the left side, we have a counter to dogs. We have 3 units that are effective against dogs. And won't do great against the golem. Yeah, this is rigged. They don't have an effective solution to possessed, so possessed will do critical damage and end the fight. If you replace the Jedi with archers and the crabs with something that can damage the golem, I would give it to the left. But as it is, this will be a slaughter, because nothing on the left is effective against possessed. So even if they manage to kill them, the golem will have a easy time cleaving through everything, because nothing left is effective against the golem either. Yeah, the possessed killed almost everything, but even if they didn't, I'm not sure this army could actually deal with the golem. Maybe they can. The Jedi are reasonably high DPS and take a couple of hits to die. I would definitely agree that the game is valuing certain units more than they're worth. The problem is that certain units are worthless in certain compositions. Like the crab is not a relevant unit in this fight. So its value is... The value of the crab here was basically near zero. All it did was make the golem take slightly longer to clean up the casters. In a different fight the crab might have mattered, because the casters already countered the dogs, so you didn't need another dog counter. Ah, wait, this is kind of interesting. So, you can think of the archers and the reflectors as frontline for the caster. As long as the casters leave, they can actually deal with both Jesselton and slugs effectively. Everything on the right side has arts damage and a reasonable amount of res, so they will not go down fast to Pompeii's. Of course, on the other hand, we have 3 Pompeii's, which is a ton of AoE. And Jesselton will just be there to tank for Pompeii's. Now, Pompeis will beat the Reflectors just fine. The Reflectors lose to Pompeis. So, what will happen to the Jesseltons is what determines it. If the Jesseltons can break through, I think they win. But I think Jesseltons just die in the first phase, and then their second phase gets melted way too quickly. Yeah, Jesselton phase 1 will determine this. If Jesselton phase 1 lives long enough for the Pompeis to do critical damage to the front line, if they kill enough of them so the two Jesseltons can clean this up, then they'd have a chance. But I'm not sure that will happen. Like, their DPS here is just really slow. Once the casters start firing, you can see Pompeii starts to lose health really quickly. A bunch of the archers are dying, but they're the main fodder unit. Okay, so the first Jesselton goes down. Reasonable reflector health left. And now it's just a question of whether the casters can finish off the Pompeii, which they should be reasonably effective at. Getting kind of close now, but I think these casters are too tanky for Pompeii to deal with. Yep, they have their charge skill for the next Pompeii. So once they start charging, Pompeii goes down. That's a pretty cool fight. Will definitely go the other way if you just take one caster from this side, the right will lose. That's how close this fight was. One less caster and the right loses. Alright, next one. So we have stuff that will die to AoE casters. Very bad. Avengers that only take damage from these slugs. Boxers, which will move forward and die. But then you're basically left with, and then the casters clean everything. I don't see a win con for the left here. I think the lava slugs are too exposed. Right should stomp this. Yep, seems we have an overwhelming majority on that side. Let's find out. So yeah, the boxers rush forward and die. That's all expected. But everything clusters up, and then the slugs just melt. That leaves the left with no real DPS to counter the Avengers. And everything is clustered, so the casters have free shots. Extremely easy fight for the right. Wasn't even close. Boxers were actually extremely helpful because they made everything on the left cluster. I think the right would win without the boxers, but it's what put the fight overwhelmingly in their advantage. 9 out of 10 wins, technically. There were some scams mixed in, but I think I made you win once, and I made you lose once, so it evens out. Next round. You have about 2 more hours to get a win. Oh, roadblocks. That's new. Do the roadblocks help or hurt? What do you think? So, I think an AoE caster would beat a Frost caster in a one-on-one. But basically the question is what happens in the center. If the center casters demolish this one and then split off, they should have a decent advantage. Imagine the pathing. So this one goes about here before he starts firing. So he'll hit this group twice. If this one ends up here and hits both this group and this caster, then this side will collapse to these casters. That being said, the right casters are really squishy themselves, but that kind of evens out with the really shit DPS on the left. No, the AoE casters won't destroy the roadblocks. What are you talking about? You can't destroy roadblocks with AoE. Okay, so biggest weakness here is the isolated caster here. Yep, left is collapsing. One decent hit here, and it's all over. Should win with 0 casualties. Provided these casters make it down quick enough. Nope, never mind. The left casters just have too little health. And too little DPS. They had no way to fight back. This is pretty obvious. So, let's see if you can tell me why the side that is going to win is going to win. Who has the advantage here, chat? Yep, it's an overwhelming advantage for the left. AoE casters have multi-target, yes. So the right guys do res, these guys are effective against res. Oh, the right does slow DPS, the left heals. So the left has an overwhelming advantage. This is a complete mismatch fight. I will be shocked if a single Junkman dies during this fight. You can see them heal back to full after every hit. The right just has zero counterplay to this. At even numbers, the Junkman would win. I wonder what's the number advantage the Junkman would still win at. Because if they get an overwhelming number, they can snowball. Okay, so 14 boxers or 46 dogs. Boxers don't die immediately to dogs, and they can kill them reasonably quickly. But their defense isn't that high. They do die to dogs. So, you have to imagine whether a boxer can build 3 dogs and then add some more dogs. That's basically how this fight looks like. Seems everyone thinks the dogs will win. I'd say you're probably right, because a bunch of boxers will die before they activate. So now they do a ton of DPS, but too many boxers die before they activate. Like, they killed a fair amount of dogs, as you can see, because they have a reasonable amount of defense, so they don't melt. They're not a backline unit after all. Ah, this one's pretty fun. I imagine, since the boxers have dodge, they will just shoot through everything. But Junkmen take a while to die, but the sarcasm will evaporate. And then you just end up with an overwhelming advantage for the boxers. I don't think the left side has any way to win this. Because the Sarkaz swordsman will die too fast. The Junkmen die slower, so if they were in the back, it wouldn't matter at all. They don't die that slowly. 0 deaths on the right. Complete sweep. Boxers does physical damage. Has 0 defense. A serious question that we need to ask now. Do you think the Axemen are a relevant part of this fight? Like, if the Axemen go home, do the Boxers still win? Let's find out. The rare Hammer Elf. What do you mean? Hammers almost always lose. Okay, so the Boxers would have lost last to the second phase. They can't kill them quickly enough. So the axes were essential to balance the fight. Again, FG, what do you mean rare Hammer Elf? Hammer loses almost every time. Like, it's an elite unit, so people don't shit on it as much as Jesselton and the basic ones. But they do not do well in this fight. Okay. I'm not sure if the Axis will get to fight anything here. But you will have 5 super buffed Axes to kill Pompeys. Should be an overwhelming advantage to the right. Most people seem to agree. 40 dogs is a lot and Junkmen aren't great. Neither Pompey nor Junkmen are particularly great against dogs. So I'm not sure if the Axis will actually get to fight. Yeah, we have about 20 dogs left. Oh, collapsing on Pompey. The dogs managed to finish off one Pompey and the Axis killed the other. Okay, so without the Axis, the dogs would have lost. Barely. "28 slugs and Pompey against 2 Golems and 8 Avengers." Huh. This one's kind of interesting. So, The right side has the better units, kind of, but they have a really big weakness in that they're really fucking slow. If some of the slugs survive, they will help with the golems, but you need the majority of the slugs to survive. Otherwise, the golems will clean house, because they kill Pompeii really easily. So, the Avengers will die, but they will kill most of the slugs. And then the golems will steamroll. That's my prediction. Guess for now you don't agree with me, and we have more votes for the slugs. Really? I think the golems have the advantage though. Like if you have 5 slugs left, that's not meaningful DPS to the golem. Golem also have some defense, so it takes us seconds before the slugs have damage. Also, there's no synergy. Slugs removing defense does not help Pompeii do more damage. We're at 125 votes right now. I'll give you a few more seconds if somebody in chat wants to change their mind. I guess it's staying even. Alright then. You have decided the slugs will win. Let's see if you're correct. You need about 10 slugs to survive after the Avengers. If that happens, the golems will get destroyed. This cluster of Avengers is kind of bad, because it's really not helping the golems. But the slugs are attacking the golems now, which are tanking for the Avengers. And chewing through the slugs at an extreme rate. Golems are left with an overwhelming health, and no slugs left over. Kind of interesting. If Pompeii had lower range than the slugs, I think the slugs win this. Because the slugs can kill the golems if there's all of them left. That was a pretty fun one. The slugs can fight against the Avengers, but Pompeii can't fight against the Avengers or the golems. So Pompeii was just not a good support unit for the slugs here. You lost in fight number 7. Good attempt though. Yeah, I've only seen the double golem lose once. This was definitely a fight that the double golem could have lost if the slugs had an effective frontline. If they had something that the golem doesn't kill in one hit. I'm not making a poll for this. The right unit is better than the left unit. Beyond that, they're the same unit. GG. 0 deaths on the right side. Okay, game. No, these are the real coughing babies. Is it even a patience test? It's gonna take like 30 seconds. I don't think public execution constitutes harassment, J-Popper. Definitely violates some guidelines though. Oh, for fuck's sake. Fine, I'm gonna make a poll. It won't give us a real fight otherwise. I just click on the left side so we can go to the next fight. Oh, you think the possessed will win? Oh, really? What makes you think that the unit that will just kill the other side before they do anything will win? How interesting. Are you sure? Maybe the casters will do damage once they're dead. They'll enter their secret second phase and... oh, the fight is over. Couldn't even get my snark out of the way. Does the game just want you to win? If you win this run, I'm not counting it. You got too many free wins. I wonder if you would have lost this if I let you vote. Because 40% of you have a Kyobe as your home screen operator, apparently. Not playing the IS-5 turn, you know. Okay, this is almost a real fight. So, everything here does arts damage, everything here has res, so the fight isn't too fast. The casters on the left get extra attack speed, but the reflectors will do more damage from that. Who has the advantage? Slight lead on the left. I have no idea. I'd bet on the left because they don't take too many hits to kill the reflectors, and they have a high health pool. If the right wins, I won't be terribly surprised, but I think the casters are effective against them. And the numbers are dead even. Yeah, my vote will go to the casters. The reflected damage is arts, not physical. I think the win condition goes to the left because these casters just have really high health. Like, they're not some squishy frost caster that dies in 2 seconds. And as you can see, they just don't take that many hits to kill the reflectors in turn. But even so, the reflectors have their own attack. Is it going to be enough? Yep, the reflectors win it. Was really close though. Okay, so at even numbers, reflectors beat casters. Good to know. Oh, whether they split their damage doesn't matter too much here. Okay, so we have Junkman against Slugs, and I think this is too many. The Slugs don't have a high enough number advantage. They will kill everything on the right side really quickly. So this comes down to the artillery. The Slugs will melt rather than melting stuff. But will the Slugs buy enough time for the artillery to kill a critical amount of enemies? You're giving a slight edge to the Sarkaz. Well, they have a very small numbers disadvantage, but you have to take into account about 4 of them will die. So it's more like 15 of these against 23 slugs and DPS from the artillery then. We'll see. The slugs won't last long at all. That's also a huge factor. But the Sarkaz won't either. Yep, we're going back to the loading screen. Oh, or will the Junkman clutch it out at the end? Go, Junkman, go! Yep, the artillery doesn't have the damage for the Junkman. The reflectors have an arts attack. Okay, so if a giant magical monster that magically does damage when something taps it, gets out of the ground and hits you, why do you think that will be physical damage? Also, what the fuck is this fight? Who gives a shit about the Junkman killing? Oh, you're probably talking about the last fight. I don't know why the Coapsules are valued higher than a dog. I'm not sure a Coapsule will beat a dog in 1v1. And the dogs win. Okay then, this is a fight. We're almost done, so I'll let you vote. So you can spam. I'll help you with the spam, I guess. Wonder if I'll get banned from my own chat from spamming too much. Go dogs, kill everything. Oh no, the archers are activating. How horrible. They will definitely win this now. Oh wait, they're dead. I know, right? The worst part is it's not even a PC issue. My laptop isn't even warm from this. It's just the emulator struggles with so many units. A bunch of boxers against slugs and then archers. That's a lot of boxers. If the archers don't slow them down, you get many dead slugs really fast, and then there will be no DPS left to clean up. I'm not sure if the slugs actually win this. I think the slugs will lose only because most of the slugs are in front of the archers. So the slugs will die first. Yeah, if the archers were in the front, you're getting to read about this fight in the newspaper rather than watching it. If the archers were in the front, the fight would have gone differently. But this was too unfair to the slugs. Complete slaughter. What do you mean 3 FPS? That was less than 1 FPS. Like, you know, 3 frames per second? Did you see the screen moving 3 times per second there? Okay, focus on this fight. So the possessed get absolutely destroyed by the elemental slugs. So the possessed will get neutralized effectively. The artillery are not particularly useful, but we have leftover slugs with Avengers for tanks against the Collapsos. I think the mortars will just die to the reflectors without doing much, but I don't think the mortars are a relevant part of this fight. I think the slugs are. The slugs kill the possessed, and then the Avengers will be an effective frontline for the rest. But the slugs will absolutely die to reflectors. They die in 2 hits to reflectors. They're completely ineffective against them. So once that happens, you have Avengers fighting the hammers and the reflectors. Avengers are extremely effective against reflectors, but they deal okay with hammers. That's not their worst fight. Not sure how it will go. My bet will be on the left, because I think there will be enough slugs left over, and the hammers will get focused down before the reflectors walk into range. I can see the right pulling it out though. If a hammer survives, they can beat the shit out of the Avengers. Though the DPS on the right side is kind of wonky. You seem to be going for the right. I'll cast my vote for the left, and we'll see what happens. So, the possessed rush forward, and they get eviscerated by slugs. Because once it procs, and gone. Because they take all of the focus fire because they walk forward. You now have fired up Avengers before we have any hammer charged. So these guys will just die and enter phase 2 without doing anything. Okay, will the slugs be tanky enough to help the reflectors? I think the... Oh, I think they might actually just barely coach it out. Oh, or not. A slug sacrificed itself to kill it. Okay, the Avengers win. That was super close. Holy shit. The last Avenger tanking for a bunch of slugs at the bottom. Awesome fight. I have a video about the new 4-star. Just go and check it, so I don't have to repeat myself. That was an awesome fight. Okay, let's go again. I'm going to let you take the Poe, because otherwise the game throws us and gives us trash fights. Okay, let's see what the posts say about this fight. We seem to have a high lead for Frost Nova is a cake. judging from this reading, that should mean that the possessed should have an advantage against the zombies that die in one hit. The possessed zombies are better than the normal zombies. What a shocking outcome. Yes, I did. That will not stop me. No idea. I won't let you hate on Jesselton for this one. I think 5 stars exist, but there are many more stars in the sky. Alright, so Jesselton will do a ton of damage during the first phase, and he is reasonably effective against them in his second phase. I would bet on Jesselton myself. Because Jesselton has a decent dance attack, even if it's very slow, and the axes have 0 res. Multiple axes will die during the first phase, or be severely damaged, and then they don't have the power to close it out. We have over 100 votes in. The die is cast. I think Jesselton wins here. Okay, maybe it's just one axe. The first phase gets wrecked, of course. And then the second phase. The axe buff doesn't matter, because they need 10 enemies to fully stack their buff. Here, all it does here is just mitigate the amount of damage walls they get when an axe dies. So they're just not an effective 2 against his second phase. Okay, we have 3 really easy fights in a row, but chat lost one of them already, so I'm not gonna assume you know the answer. So, the Jedi are outnumbered 2-1 by the droids. Do you think the droids have a chance against the Jedi with a 2-1 advantage? Wait for it. Shockingly, 6% of you do. You should lay out the drugs. That 1 extra percentage hold up for a minute should do it too. Jedi can deflect bullets and shit. Now the Collapsos don't have bullets, but that will not improve their chances. I'm not sure a Jedi would lose that one to begin with. Okay, so what do you think? Do you think the shields that the left side cannot kill in any way whatsoever, with an effective backline, will win the fight against the Collapsos will die immediately, and Boxers will die slightly later? This is such a close fight, folks. Who knows what will happen? Well, me, obviously, and about 80% of the people here. And about 5% of the people who click left, I would assume. Oh no, so many slugs died. What will happen now? Will the defenders lose? Nope. The vote would have been right, alright. But chat bet on the axes against Jesselton, so I don't trust chat to know the correct option anymore. If all the slugs died, the defenders would still win. Why are 8 crabs worth the same as Jesselton exactly? Okay, now this isn't about hating Jesselton. The question here is how much do you hate winning? About 22% of you hate winning. The percentage of people who hate winning is rising rapidly. Does anyone noted how many fights Jesselton won in a row? Are we at 3 fights or more? Shield has just discovered capitalism. Congratulations, Shield. You can get a job now. Do not do so at McDonald's. Burger King has better rates. Okay, so Jesselton has won 1, 2, 3 or 4 fights in a row, according to my chat. Thank you, you are very helpful. No one Jesselton would have won. Okay, so 1 Jesselton and 2 Pompey against 3 Hammers. Now the Hammers, as I've mentioned before, are extremely effective against Pompey. If it was 3 Hammers against 2 Pompeys, the Pompeys would get stomped. However, the Hammers have a problem. There is this asshole on the front, and nothing on the right damages him effectively. The best win case for the right side is if all of the Hammers go to the Pompeys and kill them right away, and then everything together starts focusing on Jesselton. But the Hammers are the DPS, and they're gonna frontline, and they're not good DPS against Jesselton. I don't see a loss for Jesselton here. Most of you don't either. Okay, so this is going to be the best case scenario for the Hammers, where they get to kill the Pompeys for free, and then everything fights Jesselton together. Everything being 3 Hammers, because the archers are just gonna die. So now, is this going to be enough to beat Jesselton? That's the actual question. Three half health Hammers? You know they might, because they will be able to stunwalk him. Yeah, Jesselton is gonna die because of stunwalks. Ha! The stunwalk combo. That was the worst case scenario for the left side, because Jesselton couldn't tank. Okay, Jesselton is back to 0. They also kill him pretty quickly anyway, so I don't think it would have necessarily mattered. I have no fucking clue. What do you guys think? Actually I do, this is the artillery. But what do you guys think? The casters will take too long to close the distance, and the artillery are a bit spread out, so they won't get one shot. Maybe we're wrong, and the casters take too many hits to die, but I don't see it. Yep, that AoE being too big is game ending. Can we see it? It wouldn't have mattered. Even if 2 casters survived there, the artillery would have still won. Their damage was way too spread out. Okay, moment of truth. Do you think the Collapsos can beat 25 Lava Slugs? As we've often seen, the Lava Slugs can do a ton of damage with their elemental procs. But what you need to understand is that the elemental proc is mostly wasted on a Collapso. By the time it procs, they would have lost half their health, be knee deep in slugs and about to die. So despite the slugs having a ton of damage, it's not effective damage against the Collapsos because of high overkill. On top of that, the Collapsos will just one-shot the slugs, or two-shot them, so the slugs will die super fast. We're giving the Collapsos an edge. Then again, there are a lot of slugs. Let's see what happens. Do you think the slugs actually have a chance? Once about 8 slugs have gone down for 3 Collapsos, and it's over. Extremely one-sided matchup. Probably the worst possible enemy for a Collapso. And now, because the Collapsos got a W, the game is set to prove them wrong now. Just in case anybody thought that Coapsos can actually be an effective unit in this mode. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One Avenger seems to have died. Amazing. Oh, never mind, I missed the sword. No Avengers died. I just didn't see one sword. What the fuck is this? So you have buffed Axis against Avengers. And the Axis will have almost their full buff. Axis will not actually take damage from Avengers until Avengers are in second phase, at which point they will die relatively quickly. Axis have a higher stat line than Avengers when they're both unbuffed. And Axis attack much faster than Avengers. Pretty interesting. I think the only risk for Axis is that you have a bunch of Avengers wake up at the same time, eviscerate the Sarkas, and then you have a bunch of buffed Avengers hitting the Axis at once. But if that doesn't happen, the Axis should have a big advantage. Predicting a close fight that goes to Axis, unless you get like a bunch of Avengers just going down, because this is when there's more Avengers. If you have a bunch of Avengers all buffed, going down and eating everything, then the right wins. Let's find out. We do have many buffed Avengers. Yep. Which completely fucks the Axis. It's because so many Avengers activate at once. With less enemies, it might have gone closer to the Axis side. Now, I am willing to bet money that chat will vote wrong on this. So, we have enemies with defense and slugs remove defense. Do you think that will help? Let's find out. Guess it's a good thing I didn't bet, because chat is correct. The slugs will get bodied here. Slugs are bad against units with high defenses, because by the time they get through the defense, a bunch of slugs would have already died. You can see, not a single shield has died yet. Still 0 casualties, and almost every slug is down. 0 casualties on the right. Defense is the counter to slugs, because they do absolutely 0 damage until the defense is removed. So in effect, it massively extends the health bar of the other side. Right, so Coapsos die because they suck, and then you have Boxers against Sarkas. Boxers die because they suck, and then you have buffed Axis that win. A pretty simple fight. Biggest factor is that the Axis have pretty high defense, so the Sarkas don't do much to them. The Crocs are here to buff the Axis, that's all. Okay, all of the crocodiles collapsed because they suck. And now we have buffed Axis and everything else dies. GG. The Reflect will be extremely deadly. But the left side doesn't have many things to work with. All of these guys are on the front. The hammers, so they will die really early into the fight. once the hammers are dealt with, the second forms won't last long and you have buffed boxers against reflectors. The problem is that everything here will die to the reflectors. The right side has the damage, but not the tankiness. Not too sure. I think I would bet on the reflectors, because the boxers die to them really fast. Will not be shocked if the slugs pull out a victory though. I think the reflectors are too tanky and the boxers too squishy, yes, I agree with you. But the difference isn't major. So if the right wins, I wouldn't be terribly surprised. So first these guys get completely eviscerated. Boxers activate mostly for free, thanks to them. And then the boxers self-destruct on these guys. Kind of close. Is that enough boxers? It's enough! Yes, the right won! Actually, that gives us an idea. It was 14 boxers and 20 slugs. So about 2 boxers and 3 slugs per reflector. Live. I streamed this yesterday, and today I watched Super Stream it too. And so far I haven't seen chat win a single time. If you are curious about how much chat loses. I think we already know the outcome of this one. Because we've seen it earlier. The boxers will kill the first form and then they should collapse after, because their dodge will run out. A single hammer from these guys is deadly. If a majority of boxers survive without using their dodge, then they can kill the second phase as well. So one AoE attack from the hammers ends the fight. The question is whether the boxers kill fast enough. If the boxers kill them too slowly, and there's only 8 boxers, spread between 3 separate targets, 7 of them here, with 1 of them 1v1ing a boxer. Left has no armor, you're correct. So the boxers will kill them reasonably quickly, but these are not wolves. There's not an infinite amount of them. Seems like you're leaning towards boxers. Let's find out how it goes. I think if one AoE attack lands on this side, they're fucked. Okay, no AoE attacks. They'll be fine then. Because they have 2 dodges left for this thing. So it can't actually kill them. More boxing glazing time. The Sarkas have no defense. They have res but no defense. They have higher damage, but they will simply not outlast the boxers. Incredibly trivial fight for the boxers. Two wins for the boxers in a row. Probably more, honestly, knowing how the boxers go. So, we need to make 2 posts. I'll make the left or right one first. The Frost can interrupt Golem attacks and waste a ton of time. So, the Golem will take absolutely forever to kill 14 casters. But, their damage is extremely shit. So, this is like an unmovable object and unstoppable force kind of problem. Infinitely shit damage against infinitely slow shit damage due to crowd control. I assume the casters will kill first, but this is going to be a long one. So, I want to ask, will this fight last forever? Probably not. The casters will finish it sometime this year. Though casters dying do slow it down even more, I think they have enough DPS to pull through. Because they keep freezing and buying themselves more time. Oh, the fight is ending. Shocker. What do you think? Avengers walk slowly, and by the time they activate, that won't help them because they'll be fighting stuff they one-shot anyway. They're extremely ineffective against slugs at these numbers, and then you have archers as backups. Maybe I'm lying to you though. It's only 2 slug per Avenger, right? On paper, yes, but because the Avengers walk so slow, multiple Avengers should die before they ever reach the slugs. 20 slugs is so few. And the archers won't tank for the slugs. The archers will be in the back and the archers suck ass. If you imagine whether 20 slugs beat 11 Avengers, they definitely don't. So the next question is whether they beat enough Avengers for the archers to be able to clean up. Most seem to be going with the left. I'm not so sure. I think 11 Avengers might be a bit too many. Okay, so the archers are mixed in with the Avengers. That's really helpful to the slugs. Because the core slugs still alive. Okay, if the archers had much longer range, this would have gone really badly for them. 8 Jedi against 20 Circus. Okay, so Jedi have some amount of defense, but the Circus attack is higher. However, Circus have 50 res, so they effectively have double health. They will take quite a while to die themselves. This fight will take a while, and Circus have an overwhelming number advantage. You seem to be voting in favor of Circus. I'll agree with you there. Let's see the outcome. There's a really isolated Jedi here. Once they die really fast from all the extra damage. Will that be enough? The top is getting kind of eviscerated, but all at the bottom died pretty much for free. Yeah, the Jedi are losing. They just take too long to get through a single Circus. The Circus health is too high for this fight. Even if they win a 1v1, it doesn't mean they win a 1v2, and this wasn't even a 1v2, no chance. Unfortunate, but the Jedi Order is dead. Sith time. Oh look, Avengers. They're kind of Sithy, right? Kind of interesting. So the Boxers are what can kill the Golem, but the Boxers will mostly die fighting Avengers, leaving just shields who are ineffective against the Golem. I don't see the left side solution for a Golem because the Boxers will die early. Seems like an overwhelming advantage for the right to me. Yeah, I don't think there's a chance because the Boxers will die before the shields can get into the fight. The Avengers might take massive damage from the Boxers, but I don't think it will matter as long as there's not enough Boxers left to clean up the Golem, which I don't see happening at these numbers. Let's see what really happens though. So the Avengers start dying, but as they're dying they kill a bunch of Boxers. Are there enough Boxers left to clean up the Golem? Probably yes, because they will have the shields tanking for them. Okay, so if the Golem ends up killing the Boxers, he could win, but he seems to be ignoring them for the most part. The Avengers suck. Okay, so Avengers are bad against things that kill them quickly, because sometimes they get one attack and then die. That's probably worth remembering. Um, does Jesselton actually win this? Like, his second phase is gonna be really, really bad because he's gonna die at distance and then have to walk to them. Well, they get charge attacks off or something. But his first phase will take forever to die, so he can probably pick off a caster. Let's find out. I think 4 casters are enough to kill his second phase. Oh wait, these casters are actually good. His first phase will die in no time. Well, this actually gives him an advantage in the second phase, because they won't have their charge attack. No charge attack? Will that matter? Not at all. I haven't paid attention to the students at all. Don't pay attention to what people buying into a pyramid scheme think, you know? Just offer them a unique business opportunity to be their own boss. Right, so crocodiles against 5 reflectors. Crocodiles attack fast and have no res. I wonder how this will go. Nobody believes in the crocodiles. Kind of agree with you, their health isn't all that high. I think they'll do a lot of damage to the reflectors though, and then just die before they can finish them off. Kind of like that. The health pools just weren't even enough. No, it's arts damage. So reflectors are kind of bad against casters. Though they would beat all of them 1v1. Okay, so frost casters or machine guns? Most important thing to know here is that the right side casters have much higher health than the left side ones. But the left side ones have multi-hit and terrible DPS. Most people are going with the right. Despite the multi-hit though, the number differences just isn't enough. Because the freeze lines up so poorly. If the freeze happened a bit earlier, the left caster would have a more reasonable shot. But the freeze happens after they get their machine gun out, and by then they've done their damage. It's not RNG, the freeze will always happen at the same point in the fight. Because it's 3 attacks and then freeze. And then people wonder why golems win. Okay. Will a golem be able to hit an archer before the shield breaks? Nope. Are we sure the crabs even lose? I guess they lose, yeah. Barely. Yeah. The crabs needed a few more to win without the golem. Horrible frontline against well, frankly a horrible frontline, but it will eat the caster hits and the collapsos, leaving the casters pretty safe at the back. So then, will the AoE casters be able to clean up the casters with their fodder? So it's AoE caster plus fodder against machine gun casters. I suspect the AoE casters have the advantage here, because their frontline is better as usual. Most people are going with the left, so am I. This gap here might be critical. We'll find out how that goes. One archer is tanking 3 casters solo. And then you have a bunch of archers dropping their own damage on the machine gun casters. Like, the casters have a lot of health, but it's not infinite. Good job, archers. They carried the fight by surviving long enough. The one archer at the bottom pushed it out so hard. It ended up with so much more damage on the top side. Well, maybe it wouldn't have mattered. Alright, so this is basically 4 Jedi against 20 things that can't damage a Jedi. The boxers are really helpful, but Jedi kill boxers. So, will the boxers do enough damage to kill the Jedi? If they can pop 2 of the Jedi, the shields might be able to clean up. But the Jedi absolutely eviscerate the shields. The shields do nothing to Jedi. Like, 4 shields will get shit stomped by 1 Jedi. It won't even be close. So the question is only if boxers kill Jedi. If boxers can kill Jedi, then the right wins. If boxers get destroyed by Jedi with support, the left wins. You're mostly leaning towards the left. That makes sense to me, because the crabs might be able to help the Jedi kill the boxers in less hits. Like that. And yeah, they tank effectively. You can see how long it's gonna take for just 1 Jedi to die. And the crabs are there absorbing DPS for the Jedi. Just no effective method to fight the Jedi there. Yeah, Jedi have pretty high defense. They're like a modern elite unit. Not like the old ones that you can just kill by pointing a caster at them. That's kind of interesting. So, the Axis exists here strictly as a frontline tanking unit. They will not do good damage on their own, and once the boxers are active, will completely melt. So, what you need to question is whether the 3 artillery will kill the boxers before they do critical damage to the Axis. If the boxers cripple the Axis, then the Junkman will clean up. I don't think the artillery will be able to kill it, because they'll focus fire on one thing, and there will be enough boxes left to clean up the Axis. Most of you seem to agree. So we get a bunch of fires, but we just need a few boxers to survive. Will we get that though? Once we kill that one, the boxers can collapse on the artillery, while the Junkman are stalling out the... There's 1 boxer left. If that boxer dies, there might be in trouble. Okay, the Junkman might get in trouble now. The Axemen are much stronger than them, and they have full buffs. The damage isn't being spread out because they're focus firing, and the Axeman pull it out. That was really interesting, because what happened is that the boxers on the bottom caused the loss by killing the artillery early. If they focused on the Axis instead, they'd have gotten a better outcome. Okay, just so we don't get into a chain of stupid fights, please tell me that the Collapsos will lose this. I need to hear it from you, chat. I'm afraid somebody will actually vote for the Collapsos, and it's scaring me. I'm not seeing the percent, I'm not looking at the percent. I assume all of you voted that the Collapsos will lose. Will the number difference push it in the Collapsos' favor? Boo! Too many Collapsos. Nobody saw that. Krapsa will beat them at even numbers. Apparently 50% more Collapsos is too much. Bad micro from the crabs, yeah. Right, so now we have boxers against casters. Boxers cannot dodge caster shots and casters have super high DPS. If the boxers get in melee, they will kill the casters relatively quickly, but they won't get in melee. Or will they? Let's see. You know, I always forget that these boxers have some rest too, so they actually take quite a while to die to art damage. Yeah, why the fuck do the IC boxers have rest? It's so weird. We're taking a bunch of L's this run. Okay, let's oh. Should we bet on the Axis? Just to continue the L streak. See if we can end up with 0 ingots. Guess you don't wanna. No, I was just wondering if you wanna try and go 0-10. Then we can pretend we just got every answer wrong on purpose. You know? I did that at the job once. Basically, during training they made us retake a test like 15 times. Or like 4 times if I'm not exaggerating. Because some guy was arguing about the result of the test and they made him take it again. I got everything right the first 2 times and then I was bored the 3rd time and just intentionally answered wrong on everything. Okay, so Junkman that don't die to Pompey versus Pompey. Pompey has pretty low DPS and Junkman have super high res, so Pompey can't really do a lot of damage here. Despite the numbers, Pompey has super low DPS and it's going to be spread out between a bunch of Junkmen, so they'll just regen through everything. Yeah, 3 Pompey isn't gonna help. You know, they're not gonna be 3 Pompey for particularly long. Also, they're doing literally 0 damage. Better question would be how many Pompey would you need to actually win this? More than 3, that's for sure. You'd need whatever amount would let you fight on. Okay. Learning from our previous lessons, the boxers have res. Everything on the right does arts. Elemental sucks against stuff with low health. This is a one-sided stomp. Now, burn damage sucks. By the time they proc it, the boxer has already done his job. You're overestimating the burn damage. Because the slugs die instantly, right? So now look, a bunch of slugs fire and they only do half the bar. Once the boxers manage to close, they evaporate. These boxers have res. I know it because IC units all have res for some fucking reason. I just keep forgetting it. 39 dogs against boxers and then we have Jedi lines. Pretty interesting. So, boxers win against dogs in a 3-1 roughly. So the dogs will be able to kill the boxers, or at least severely cripple them. That leaves us with Jedi against a comparable amount of casters. Do you think that Jedi plus some boxers will be able to clean up the casters? If yes, then the right side. If no, then the dogs. More than casters than I expect. More boxers than I expect should survive because Jedi will help with the boxer DPS a little bit. But I think the casters will coach it out in the end. So the boxers start destroying dogs and the Jedi still aren't in the fight. All of the boxers die with some dogs left over and the casters have a front line. It's all over. By the time the Jedis get to the fight, the majority of the boxers are already down and the casters are also firing. So, how many of you have seen a golem lose before? Will he actually lose though? I'm not so sure. Archers are gonna kill the slugs relatively quickly. They have res, so they're not gonna die instantly themselves. Until it will take the elemental proc to actually kill them. If they can kill a high amount of slugs, then the golem can clean house. Yeah, it's shitty Hydras and Zerglings against extremely shitty Archers and Neutralisk without the movement speed upgrades. I'm not sure the Colossus loses this, but I'll trust the 70% of chat. It depends on how many slugs get bodied. If the Archers end up focusing the casters, they're fucked. But if they kill enough slugs, the Colossus can clean house. There's enough slugs left, the Colossus should win from here. Sorry, I meant the Colossus should die from here because there's slugs left. If all of the slugs could be wiped, then the Colossus would have an advantage. But that did not happen, so it's an easy cleanup for the casters. Meant the opposite of what I said. Okay. What's the new 6-star? Like, you think I look at this stuff? I just have people to tell me when there's a new 4-star. Okay, so we have a relatively high damage. No, relative to the tankiness of this army. But the archers will delay the damage coming in. And the casters are effective against the defenders. We have a good protection of casters here. These ones are a bit exposed. So we will lose about half of our casters, potentially, depending on how the hits line up. But this archer is more forward, so he might absorb the pressure. Most are going to the right. Let's see. Okay, this part here is really bad. You're gonna have 4 casters die for completely free. Will that matter though? Nope, not at all. Okay, the casters should switch it out from here. The crabs got completely fucked by an archer, by the way. And they were out of the fight for almost the entire time. Because the crabs stop moving when they make an attack. And one archer was far forward enough, they stopped to attack it, and then they didn't have anything to attack for a while. Right, let's break this down. This side has boxers and stuff the Sarkaz can kill. This is a free win. The left side has no damage for this. Sarkaz aren't completely awful against the shields, but they're not exactly great against them. The collapsers are mostly just fodder. The boxers and the shields just don't have good counterplay. So the front line evaporates and then there is nothing meaningful left. But you're not voting for Coapsos, you're voting for the boxers. On the other hand, you have a pretty good chance to vote against Jesselton. For once. And for the stupid boxers. So, the boxers will have a shot to actually activate their skill, then demolish the shield, and then Jesselton just gets fucked. I don't see any other way this can play out. Because the Coapsos walk the fastest. So, and the boxers too. So they'll be the first ones fighting it. the archers are completely irrelevant, and then you have absolutely nothing that can fight the Jedi. I don't see a lose condition for the right side. At all. Boxers are frauding as usual, but the Jedi will take care of the shields. Now, will he be able to do enough damage to 4 Jedi before his second phase? The answer is no. And how will he do now? Boop. Heal. GG. Yeah, I don't think this might be a Jess win. Don't know why. I think that was 8 out of 10.
Accomplished.
Yeah. 1 more hour to go.
I always say, always just what makes my day.
Jesselton needs to turn into a different boss for his third phase. He just gives Sari a booty call. And she heals him up to back to first phase. Okay, so do you think 4 boxers kill a Pompey? This is a bit worse than 4 boxers versus 1 Pompey, because one of them could help the other. As we've established before, the boxers do have res. So Pompey will kind of struggle against them. That being said, 4 boxers per Pompey isn't much. So now, it's gonna be super close. Will the final boxer be able to pull it out? He dodged the explosion, he goes in! And he wins just before the explosion happens. Insanely close fight. They absolutely helped each other, because those were still under the dot from the top Pompey as they walked down. Like 4 Pompey would absolutely stomp. Like 1 Pompey would absolutely stomp 4 boxers. But that's not what you got. Or maybe he won't, maybe I'm lying to you. Anyhow, I'm giving you a courtesy poll, because you already started doing it. This is like how we hire policemen here. You open the job application for 5 seconds, the guy you're meant to hire clicks it and then it's closed. That's what true mastery over nepotism is like. So do you think 1 possessed can kill 3 Sarkas? For reference, they die in 2 hits to the Sarkas and to the possessed, and the possessed attack faster anyway. Huh. Okay. So the archers are going to suck. They're just fodder for the casters. Will the casters do a sufficient amount of damage while the archers are dying to be able to clean up the fight? As usual, these boxers have a weakness. They're going to separate from the crocodiles and hit first, and they are the higher damage. But the casters are extremely fragile. I think the archers will die, and the 7 casters will not have the DPS to clean up. Seems you agree? There's just no DPS on the left, so they get overwhelmed. What of Sarkas? 21 Sarkas against 10 casters and 6 Avengers. So they have res. They are okay against Avengers. It's not a terrible matchup for them. Avengers start with low DPS and then have a big buff after 50%. But because they are at a number disadvantage, Every Avenger that's below 50% health will kind of die shortly after. And then you have 10 casters against the leftover Sarkas. What do you think? To me it feels like the Sarkas have a clear advantage, because the more dangerous unit from the left will be the first one to die. And by the nature of Avengers, they won't have their DPS at the start of the fight. I wonder if these casters at the bottom are a problem, because they're stalling Avengers that should be killing... I'm calling out the units, they're stalling Sarkas, and now it doesn't matter at all. Because the middle didn't really lose to the Avengers. They killed a sufficient number. Total collapse, GG. Alright. This is an insanely one-sided stomp, I think. What the fuck is this shit? Crocodiles are fast attacking. They will do a reasonable amount of damage to the hammers. Even if they manage to die because they don't kill them quickly, you will have full buffed access. And 5 full buffed access is way too much. I always comment about how the axes can't get their full buff, so that limits their power. In this case they can. And on top of that, the crocodiles will do perfectly fine against the hammers. One-sided stomp, wasn't even close. The axe gain attack and attack speed when their allies die. 10% of both per ally killed. Up to 10. It's attack and attack speed. 4 axes. I think the Sarkas swordsman will go to town. Not sure how much of a factor the axes will be, but the Sarkas swordsmen are effective against everything here. I don't think there will be enough health left on the reflectors to kill them. You overwhelmingly seem to agree. Yeah, the axes are a bit of a liability here. 4 extra swordsmen might have been more useful. So once the center collapses, they'll kill the casters on the top first. Good, most of the casters are down. That just leaves some reflectors. And yeah, it's true, it's true. Sarkas' health is just too effective here. A bit messy. The left side has an extremely tanky line, but all they have is arts damage. Later into the fight. And with a combination of Sarkas and Avengers both having 50 res, everything on the right has 50 res. The big advantage the left has is that they'll have the activated archers. So the left will have really high DPS, but melt really fast themselves. Kind of interesting, but I think the AoE casters will make it into a stomp for the right. If it was more Avengers and Sarkas, it might be interesting, but the AoE casters are too much. They will completely crush the fight, because the archers will make everything cluster together, which will super value the casters. I think almost everything on the left will die before the casters will shit. Look at this shit. Like when the explosions start coming in. Oh. Okay, so the Sarkas die, but the Avengers are tankier. They're still there. And boom, everything collapses. The AoE did its job perfectly fine. It's okay if it's spread out. Okay, you're pretty close. So let's think about the fights properly. This one doesn't require that much thinking, sadly. Main thing you need to notice here is the right side has no DPS. No DPS means both the Avengers and the Crocs can do their thing. And then Jesselton is fucked. The AoE casters will help, but they're not the main focus here. It's the abhorrent difference in DPS which gives the left side the advantage. Yeah, you got it. I think the fight will be decided before we only have a single red Avenger. That's how massive the DPS difference was. Okay, one more to go for the win. This has been 2 days in the making. Okay, we got a kind of complicated one. Let's begin with a slow analysis of everything. The Coapsos are trash and will die. There is 41 dogs. Boxers will absolutely eviscerate dogs, but after they eviscerate the dogs, they will lose their dodge. Then they have 26 slugs, which they need to use to fight 12 Sarkas and 7 Avengers, with an almost dead frontline. Fuck, this is really complicated. Yeah, you got the hard one for the end. I'll talk about it a bit more. So, 26 slugs is about even with 7 Avengers, which leaves the 12 Sarkas without a counterplay, I think, because the Boxers will lose their shields to the dogs from the earlier engagement. The left side has no effective DPS against the dogs, which will cripple their front line, and then you have 12 Sarkas and 7 Avengers. Will the front line buy enough time for the slugs to finish that off? I'm not sure. The Avengers have some amount of defense, but they die reasonably quickly, and worse, they kill slugs slowly. The slugs are protected in the back, they haven't spawned yet, so none of them will die to the dogs. Yeah, the problem is that a lot of the Coapsos will also die to the dogs. And then it will be a pathetic frontline. I'm honestly not sure. Since I know 7 Avengers are roughly equal to 26 slugs, I don't think the slugs DPS will compensate the difference between Coapsos and Sarkas. But we will have Boxers in the mix, because the Boxers won't actually die to the dogs, they will still be there. So I'm not sure if the right wins this. In any case, you have an overwhelming majority on the right. Like, the Boxers will lose their dodge, but they'll still be alive. I think that can cripple the right's front line and give slugs the win. Let's go 1x speed so we can observe. As discussed earlier, the Boxers absolutely eviscerate the dogs. Oh, no, oh, the right is fucked. Some of the Boxers still have dodge. The right is completely fucked here. They can't get through the dodge. The slug have a free reign to shoot everything. This was not close at all. Some of the Boxers didn't lose their dodge. The Boxers are always underestimated. Like, the Boxer just completely wiped out the dogs. That's one of the most one-sided matchups. Ah, my hopes of ending the stream early died. You have 50 more minutes to win. I mean, I guess I'll pull you, to be fair. One guy voted for the right, let that be known. Like, casters are well and good, but Pompey has more health than them, and 4 casters have the exact same health as 1 caster, because Pompey will hit all 4 of them at once. So even though they both have rest and will take a while to die, Pompey will kill all of them at once. Both sides have AoE, which removes the caster's usual advantage, and just makes it to a straight health check, which Pompey wins extremely easily. Okay, one win. This is really easy. You should know the answer. The hammers have AoE, yes. But that AoE takes several hits to activate. Do you think they will get several hits? Show me what you know. Most of you think the hammers will die horribly. You are correct. They managed to reach, yes. Will that make a difference? Will the AoE be big enough to win the fight? Doesn't seem to be. Looked a bit scary for a second, but the slugs went out. They need to do 3 hits and then an attack. It's pretty slow. Okay, so a squishy enemy with high damage against a squishy one with high damage. So the Sarkaz is bigger and stronger than a dog. Roughly you have, what, 3.5 dogs per Sarkaz? 28, 42 with 7 dogs. 3.5 dogs per Sarkaz. Can a Sarkaz beat 3.5 dogs? Not sure. Unlike in most RTS, units stack on each other, so the small units don't have an inherent disadvantage. Probably dogs. Let's find out. The Sarkaz being super clustered together might give them an edge though, because the dogs are running into a line, but it's not enough. 3.5 dogs destroy 1 Sarkaz. Huh. This is almost interesting. So the left side has some amount of defense, meaning the boxers, the right side, these boxers, the prison boxers, have some amount of defense. So the left will not kill them instantly, and once their dodge runs out, they will die instantly. So, do you think the boxers on the left will win before their dodge ends? You should remember that enemies in this mode have reduced health and extra attack. Given that fact, I think the boxers on the left have sufficient attack to kill the ones on the right. Seems most of you agree. Let's see what happens. We'll be able to tell from the first hit. How quickly do they beat? Quick enough, easy win for the left. We had 0 losses. I think most boxers couldn't even go into the dodge phase. This is the best puncher versus the worst punchers. These numbers don't make sense to me. So the boxers do great damage against reflectors and have res. So they're tankier than normal, they have double their normal health. But their normal health is really low. Do you think 2.5 boxers can punch out a reflector? It's not even 2.5 boxers, it's more like 2.2 boxers. I think it's not enough. They'll run out of health before they chew through the HP. Because attacking fast is a disadvantage. This does arts, it only does arts. No part of what this unit does is physical. Rani, that's not a sound argument. Everything in Arknights is a Sarkaz subtype. Your Ashtray is a Sarkaz subtype. If it exists, it's a Sarkaz subtype. By that logic, everything should have res. So obviously some Sarkaz subtypes have res and some Sarkaz subtypes don't have res. Actually, Mudrock doesn't have res. So obviously that's bullshit. Okay, enough ranting about Sarkaz. On the left we have stuff that do no damage, on the right we have real units. Courtesy vote. Yes, Vivaldi, thank you for proving my point. She only reduces damage from certain circus, the ones that have res. So you have other circus from which it doesn't reduce damage. Okay, so the slugs really suck against reflectors. And then you have buffed axes against things that will kill the axes really fast. This is a one-sided stomp for the left side, I think. Because the reflectors will tank the slugs, all the slugs will die, and then you just have axes against 7 casters. The fuck are they supposed to do? Oh shit, so many votes for the right. I didn't expect that. I got scared that we're gonna lose again. Okay, the votes for the left are coming in. There we go. So now, the casters will take a bit of damage. The casters need to clean up the axes. There's enough casters left, they're fine. Mate, the casters not being grouped is to their advantage, yeah? Huh. Pretty interesting. No, it's not. Golems one-shot. It's GG. Boxers get one-shotted by golems, so the right side has absolutely nothing. The right side would lose even if Jesselton wasn't there, like usual. 2 golem kills all of the boxers in 4 hits, all of the Avengers in 8 hits. Then you just have reflectors. And that's it. And nothing here can do meaningful damage to the golems. So while Jesselton is sucking gas, the golems are cleaning up. Yeah, I knew that's how it worked. Golems one-shot them so they can't dodge anything. Will they save Jesselton? I think buffing Avengers will not save Jesselton. Bye, Jesselton. Golem free win. 2 more fights. You have 2 more fights to go. Okay, we have Collapsos. They suck ass and will die. What happens after they die? You have semi-charged archers, 3 axes and 11 shields. I think 3 axes and 11 shields are way too much for 8 casters. So 8 casters will kill a lot of them. After the Collapsos down, they will get overrun and die. Should be an easy win for the left. Most people seem to think left. Let's go. Collapsos get completely wrecked. And then you just have the casters. The casters have a ton of DPS, yeah, but it's just not enough. They get into melee. And even though they wipe the front line, there's enough archers left to clean up. Because the archers have reasonably effective DPS themselves. Yeah, this was relatively close. They had a good frontline unit. The casters would have had a good shot. Because the casters were an effective unit there. Their frontline was just shit. Okay. So we have 4 artillery. Artillery will absolutely shit on the slugs. They're all spread out. We have 3 here, 1 down here. So they'll hit this group and this group. Most of the slugs will die super early. You have reflectors, which will eventually kill the casters, but not too quickly. And Jedi. Jedi take 0 damage from archers, and they can fight reflectors just fine. So how many Jedi will die to slugs? the casters will lose to reflectors of their own. So if by some magic the slugs kill all the Jedi, the left will win. Despite that, I can see you're all expecting a different outcome here. With the artillery absolutely deleting the slugs. We have a center of slugs at the middle that are slowly working through the Jedi and are not vulnerable. There are just 3 of them left. They are killing the Jedi, but it's really slow. However, the reflectors are all dead. Did you throw again, or will the Jedi coach it out? If the Jedi dies, you might be fucked. Nope, you're fine. You would have won even without the Jedi dying. The Jedi did their job. GG! Chat finally won! That took so long, holy shit. It took like 7 hours between me and Super to finally get a win from chat. GG, good job. You've beaten Kenot and gotten the money for your once in a lifetime be your own boss business opportunity. Alright, congratulations. We'll end it here as you were celebrating your victory. I'll be back tomorrow streaming something else. Good job, chat. And good night.